Well, Rats, it's been a whole year since I first released the Forever Winter New Player's Guide. And let me tell you, when I made that first video, I was originally planning for it to be a one-off. I didn't think it was going to spiral out into 4,000 plus subscribers, or 300,000 views, or 42,000 watch hours, which is incredible. I know this is still a small-time YouTube channel in the grand scheme of things, but that's really great, and I am so thankful to all of you. But that video was a guide, and a year is a long time for a game in active development, so some things have changed. Which is why I'm here today. The point of this video is to revisit that first video, both as an update and as commentary for the fun of it. And then at the very end, we'll round things off with some questions and statements from you, the viewers, which I'm looking forward to immensely. But without further ado, let's get to the Forever Winter, a new player's guide. Revisited. Oh god, that intro. I was really proud of it when I made it, and I suppose it still is effective enough, but man, now I see just all the flaws that are in it, how the frame shifts constantly, the lack of color correction, and then there's a dead frame right in the middle right before the first gunhead scene. Nowadays, I would do this a lot better and a lot differently, but, you know, it got the point across, and I don't want to make this style of intro in every video, because, you know, well, it's cool. I feel like it gets boring. It's also not that exciting to make, but oh god, look at it. I guess it was the best I could do. I'm not formally trained in video editing, and I made this on my Samsung Galaxy 21 FE via Samsung Studio, which, oh boy, I don't recommend. Welcome, friends and scavengers, to the bleak and beautiful world of the Forever Winter, a maneuver and evasion-focused extraction shooter by Fundog Studios. To start off, I'm just going to wear my biases on my sleeve here. I found the Forever Winter, and I fell in love, and I think you will too. And I still stand by that statement. That said, even I can recognize the game's biggest failure, and that is its inadequate tutorialization. Which is why this video here today exists. Ain't it crazy how the more things change, the more they stay the same? We now have a tutorial, arguably one of the longest in video games, lasting like 10 to 20 hours for most people to get through. And yet it still explains so much of the game so poorly, if at all, that I still think my videos might be a better resource for new players. Or is that just the hubris talking? Whether you're a new player or someone returning from release, I am going to get you up to speed and ready to go with the best of them. To those ends, we've started with a fresh account, and as such, our only substantial option is to move forward with the training mission. I won't waste your time telling you what the game will already put on the screen for you, but I will tell you that it's already keeping information from you that could be critical to your success. Proving my point earlier, this is also something that hasn't really changed. I mean, hell, Rats, how many scavs do you know that still don't know that things like the TAC cam make noise and draw enemies? The very first thing you should do is press F to change your fire selector to the full auto position. You're going to need it based off the health pools of the enemies you're going to be facing. Then, you should immediately either press 2 or preferably scroll your mouse wheel to select your shotgun. Shotguns are some of the most effective weapons in this game by a wide margin, and for the training mission you should use it as your primary arm. Moving swiftly forward, we can use our interaction key, with E as default, to open up our first loot container. Grabbing all the ammo that we can, we quickly start to run out of space, but that's not a reason to stop searching, as not every item takes up the same amount of room in your rig. This grenade, for instance, opens up more options for us and takes up almost no space or weight at all. The grenade size has unfortunately been one of those things that's changed. They're much bulkier now. Still probably worth taking, though. Meanwhile, this water barrel, which is our quest item for pickup, doesn't take up any room in our regular rig space at all, instead taking up a special large item slot. Speeding up the footage, we're just going to walk down this very safe hallway and drop the water off. Doing so will trigger a few additional side objectives. To my knowledge, this is the only time this will happen in the entirety of this game. Regardless, however, it did give us side objectives, and the first of them is to kill 5 enemies, namely the cyborg spawning. Pressing Z allows you to mark and identify targets and fuck, that's one of those pieces of information that is still not in the current tutorial.
We're going to start off with our highest threat, which is our mobile cyborg here first. It's very important to keep a close eye on your ammunition supply mid-fight, because once you run out and begin a reloading animation, you are locked into that animation.
Thank fuck that has been addressed, though. For people who weren't around back in the day, it used to be that when you ran a gun dry, you were locked into that reloading animation. You couldn't switch weapons, you couldn't sprint, you couldn't use items, you just had to kind of stand there reloading, hoping not to die. It was awful.
Using shift to sprint forward, we can grab this additional water barrel for our own personal supply, and then using space, you can jump over the torsos, evading them quite easily. Marking our 5th kill means that we've completed our side mission, so we can start heading towards our extraction point. Bravely running away, we're going to use this cluster grenade to cover our exit, mostly out of spite. Holding G will bring up our throwing overlay. Notice how tall the arc is. It's very easy to hit grenades on ceilings and bounce them back towards yourself. Detonation done, damage dealt, let's leave.
Home sweet home.
And with that, we have completed the only tutorial in the Forever Winter.
And of course, this is the first of the really big changes that have happened since this video was first released. What we just did was the original tutorial, which is now part 2 of the 20 to 30 part long, I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head, new tutorial quest chain. Which overall puts the game in a much better place, I think, even if it can frustrate some new players by being a little too linear. But, man, that kind of direction was not what I got when I started playing. Who knows, maybe if there was more of a tutorial, I would have never made this video to begin with.
Yeah, and that's why this video is being made. Anyways, welcome to the Innards. You might recognize this as the exact place that you just left, but don't worry. While we are away in that loading screen, our friends here have spruced the place up a bit, and let me give you a tour.
Fun fact, Fundog had the exact same idea with the tutorial quest line now, and they have you do the exact same tour that I'm about to take you on, but with, quest prompting.
Moving straight ahead to our first point of interest, we have the quest board. The very first thing we should do after opening up is to get ourselves paid for killing those 5 cyborgs. In this instance, keeping Slade here happy has netted us positive reputation with the scavenger faction as well as some credits and water, and we'll get into what all of those can be used for later. For now, our next move is to select the only quest option available to us, which happens to just be a simple extraction quest. Almost all the quest content in this game will come with a small amount of dialogue or lore to keep you interested and entertained with the content, though admittedly it's usually pretty light, as most quests are repeatable.
This now falls into the category of kinda true. Between the endgame quests they've added with Octogirl and the Transmission Tower and the Cognition Cradle, and the intro quest, the big-ass tutorial now in the game, there's a lot of quests that you actually can't repeat, but, the main quest board is still pretty much unchanged.
Just down the hall and to the right, we have our combat loadout,
which has since been renamed to just Stash. We used to have combat loadouts, now we technically don't, but we still do, because nothing's really changed.
Displayed on the right is everything you're going to be bringing with you into your next raid, and on your left is everything that you have in your inventory back here at the Innards. That inventory then being subdivided between your weapons, your rigs, which are your in-raid inventories, your consumables, and large items, which are specialty items we'll get into later.
And what prompted that earlier name change is we now have an extra tab on top of those, which is just loot, which allows us to bring items into raids for quest purposes or trading, which is, a huge quality of life improvement for everyone in the community.
The Weapons tab here on the left also allows us to access our weapons customization submenus for each individual gun we have. We'll get more into the system once we have some components. For now, just know that it's here. The game also starts us off with a small stash of 3 of the 4 types of grenades that it has on offer, and we'll get more into these once we have all 4 on hand. Just slightly further down the line, we have the map screen.
Ah, the old map screen. Nostalgia, right? This is what we used to have before the tunnels, back when you had to select a map one at a time and you couldn't go map to map. I mean, look at it! This video was made before DTLA was even a possibility. It was still locked off and we hadn't seen it yet. So there's been a lot of changes here. But thankfully I covered that in depth in another video, so we don't have to spend too much time gawking at it and discussing what has changed. And what it means for us scavs, because we already know, don't we?
And boy, oh boy, are we sure spoiled for choices. Each one of these maps is a challenging visual treat. So there's really no going wrong here. You might notice the numbers up above each map's name. That is the price range of that map, and we pay that price in water.
That's right, there were no fast travel drones back in the day, or drones at all. It was just water. How times have changed.
The price varies day by day, sometimes quite wildly, and the availability of the individual entry points is dependent on our standing with the reputation system, which we won't be able to affect much until we unlock more of our quest list and vendors. Moving on to where we threw that cluster grenade earlier is the surgical chair, otherwise known as the character select screen. There is a whole lot to go into here, so this is going to get its own section later on in the video. Timestamps will be in the description.
Belay that, there were timestamps, or I suppose there still are timestamps in the original video, but there won't be in this one.
But for now, we're just going to leave this and stick with the old man. Heading on down the hallway here, on the right is what will be our European weapons vendor, Grillo.
Ah, poor Grillo. He's sadly no longer in the game, as he's been replaced by Luca, a vendor who shares his exact same position and inventory. Not really a change to the gameplay, but a little bit of an alteration to the lore and the fluff.
He's one of a pair of vendors who require a minimum level of water in order to be present in your innards. Doubling back, we'll find our donation box. This will generate one free random weapon per day. Today I got an AK, but it's also what allows players in multiplayer to trade weapons between each other by putting weapons in and pulling them back out again within the innards. Just past the donation box we have what will be the home of Bundleton, our rigs and rig parts vendor, as well as Heisenberg, our medicine man. He doesn't have much available for us in stock right now, but that's because of our reputation with the scavenger faction. As you can see up here in the filters, it shows we only have access to level 1 of his inventory. Pressing escape from here will open up the main vendors menu. As you can see, there are some vendors that do not have stalls set up within the innards themselves. Most notably, Aramaki.
And there we have Aramaki. Like Grillo, he has been replaced, in this case by Kane. And another change to the game is that Kane is not available to fresh scavs right out of the tutorial, or at least what was the tutorial, and instead unlocks slightly later on down the tutorial quest line. He also requires a bit of water to be present.
Who's our Eurasian weapons vendor. He also, quite conveniently, will give us a lot of free ammo.
There's another change. Surplus ammo is no longer free, though it is cheap.
And it is here that I have to regretfully inform you that there is no buy or sell all feature in this game. You either have to manually tap your way up to the value you want, or you're going to have to type it in. There's just no other way around it.
And thankfully, this has been fixed. There is now a buy or sell max option, which is a godsend because it saves so much time and so much carpal tunnel when doing anything with vendors.
I personally recommend typing. Next we have Charles.
And he is our third vendor who's been replaced with no mechanical changes whatsoever. Charles has been ousted and replaced with Slade.
He hires out NPC supports that you'll never want to use because they're useless. Then down here at the bottom we have my main man, Bunko. He's an ammunition vendor amongst other things, but more importantly for us at the moment, he sells an advanced medkit.
Would you look at that? Advanced medkits were under 5,000 credits. Nowadays, Bunko sells them for like 8 times the price. Just ow. But I suppose it did help with the balancing.
We're going to buy that right off the bat. Bunko is also secretly a high-level endgame quest giver, but we'll get to that content near the end of the video. Finally, at the end of this little bridge, we can find our innards upgrades vendor. Here you can buy everything from water tank capacity upgrades to defensive turrets, to a Christmas tree made out of guns.
And notice there are no material costs involved with making any of these upgrades. Back in the day, it was just water. Well, you had to have a certain amount of water. You didn't actually spend the water. And credits. Lots and lots of credits. Credits used to be more valuable, relatively speaking, than they are now, so these values were actually higher in terms of how they felt. Nowadays, 50,000 credits is nothing at all.
Everything here is nice to have, none of it is necessary for now, and it's all well outside of a new player's reach. Traveling back down the main thoroughfare towards where we extracted in the training mission, we'll find our ready room. This particular room isn't that important for solo players, but here's where I tell you the horrible truth. You didn't need to learn where any of those things were. As just by pressing escape at any time and going through these tabs up top, you can access every single screen that we just went through. As a new player, you have no way of realizing, but the quest screen itself does imply that we should do this at Scorched Enclave.
And boy, oh boy, did we all just love Scorched Enclave back in the day, because it was the only map that was always free of a water cost. And, you know, no tunnels or anything, so everyone was always going to Scorched Enclave. It got a little boring.
Which, as it's a small map, is fine for just a quick in-and-out extraction mission. Very importantly, we must check our loadout. We're going to switch over to an AK just because I have too much self-respect to wield a Draco.
The surplus Draco. I ended up making a whole video just kind of ragging on it. Well, not really ragging on it, but pointing out the Draco-isms about it and explaining what that means to people.
And don't forget to bring plenty of ammunition with you, as well as that advanced medkit we bought and some of the lesser ones that we had. Back to the ready room, and we're ready to go. Oh wait, shit, hold on.
Yeah, you see how I'm reducing the timer right here? Hey, listen, scavs, there are too many of you out in multiplayer right now with public and open squads who have not done this yet. And let me tell you, that 10-second wait when we start a map, we're all just kind of sitting there and be like, that's a little too awkward. So fix it.
Now. Welcome, Scavenger, to the Scorched Enclave, a series of hotly contested but loot-studded battlements overlooking a narrow central valley. Down inside of which there's an interactable generator that, if powered with a jerry can, will prevent enemy air units from spawning in, as well as several scavenger NPC POWs that you can choose to rescue, and a locked bunker filled with large item loot such as water jugs, jerry cans, lockboxes, and explosives. Beware though, the surrounding area is constantly under siege, at least during the day. What was that? Admittedly, night comes with other benefits, but none of that matters just yet because we're just getting in and out.
You know, I haven't really gone back and done a map intro like that again, not since this video, and I do it a couple of times in this video, and I actually I really like it. It's fun. I might have to do some map videos and kind of revisit this format.
Because of that, we're going to use this opportunity to go over a few other things as well. To start off with being our consumables, we're going to cycle through them with the 3 key because we want to have that advanced medkit front and foremost.
Oh god, the old AK sights. There are still issues with the sights in the game, but man, they used to be so much worse. Look at those.
Now it's important to note with the medkits, they all heal over a 7-second duration. It's just the amount that they heal that changes. Our advanced medkit heals 678 health over that duration, meanwhile our small medkits only heal 157. The difference being significant enough that, honestly, if we're raiding together and you bring anything other than the advanced medkits, I'm going to judge you a little bit. Not harshly, but a little bit.
With the way the economy rebalance hit the medkits, particularly the advanced medkits, I'm no longer quite as, harsh and critical about keeping the small ones on you in a raid, but realistically, the smallest ones are still pretty useless, and you're better off just not bothering to bring any.
Sifting through this loot container, we find ourselves some AK mods which will help for our current rifle, as well as some valuable weapon tech. Unfortunately, we still have basically no loot carrying capacity, just like with the training quest, but that will be solved very soon, don't worry. If you're like me, you're probably already noticing something not quite, lining up about this AK, and don't worry, we're going to fix it. It's not permanent, this can be solved. And taking a few shots here, I think it's time we talk about the enemy alertness system. You are not a key player in this fight, so most enemies will start off completely unaware of your presence. As that starts to change, this question mark icon will appear, and this circular progress bar will begin to fill up. When it does and changes into an exclamation mark, they are now aware of us, but that doesn't mean we're a priority yet. Making a nuisance of ourselves, however, will mean it'll change to this icon, which means they are now targeting us specifically. Enemies tracked by sight and sound, therefore suppressed weapons like this PM9 don't generate much attention at all, unlike this shotgun here.
Something I did not mention at this time is that sound does more than just increase the awareness meter. Making loud noises also draws enemies without showing anything on the overhead, because that icon's more of a targeting icon, not necessarily an awareness icon. If you make noise, then enemies are drawn to that position wherever the noise was from. And the status of the overhead icon won't necessarily change or won't even show up at all unless they actively see you and start targeting you.
Additionally, most NPCs spawn in a squad, and triggering one of them will alert all of them. With that out of the way and our rig full, we're just going to sprint towards the exit so we can get this quest out of the way and continue on with unlocking our full quest list. Most extraction points will be guarded. That means there's going to be something big between you and the end, but you can usually just sprint right on past. Doesn't matter how much attention we generate right here, we can still extract safely. And just like that, we've done our first raid. Congratulations. Now, admittedly, it wasn't incredibly lucrative, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a success. Because we just completed the first of 4 quests necessary to unlock our full quest terminal list.
From 3 quests to unlock to 30. But that is what it used to take.
I know, so exciting. It really is. Especially as quest number 2 is going to give us our very first rig upgrade. An absolutely vital improvement. Since our inventory is our primary limiting factor right now, this is huge, and we're going to get to it right away. Well, you are new, so maybe not right away. Alright, I think I've delayed enough, and it's time we get into the characters and character selector. Every new player's first experience will be with the Old Man, a moderate speed character whose primary skill is called Medical Expert. This provides a flat buff to all health packs and healing items, and it's the good kind of buff that heals the amount restored in the same duration. Combined with his generous health pool, this can make the Old Man basically immune to damage for short periods of time.
At this time, Medical Expert and medpacks in general were actually way more powerful because there wasn't an animation associated with them. There was no delay, you got the healing to start instantly, and you could keep running and gunning and doing everything else while using your med pack. That was crazy, and that made Medical Expert maybe the best perk in the game, but in the modern version of the game with the kind of locked-in med pack animations, it's okay. It's nowhere near as good.
While it requires a skill point investment, he can equip some of the best rigs in the game, and his innate ability to wield heavy rifles makes him an excellent damage dealing class at all ranges, overall making him an excellent and forgiving class for new players. Speaking of skills and experience investment, let me make a purchase and draw your attention towards this little section here. Right here where it says 2next prestige, this is not just a threshold for your next level, this is also an experience cap. You might have noticed that making that purchase did not change my progress towards the next prestige. Once you hit that cap, you can't purchase any more skills. And when you do prestige, you lose any skills from the previous tier. But in addition to your new increased experience cap, you also gain a small increase to movement speed and health. Regarding gaining experience, while murder is always rewarded, and it doesn't matter how nice your kill count is, you are a scavenger and the game systems reflect that. Experience is primarily doled out based off the loot you extract with, rather than the kills you rack up. Next up we have Scav Girl, our stealth and evasion focused character. She's hampered by limited weapon options and an even more limited carrying capacity. She even has to invest in her skill tree to equip anything but the smallest of rigs. But more than makes up for this with stealth and speed. And by speed, I mean extreme speed. Playing Scav Girl feels like playing an entirely different game from the other scavengers. On top of that, she alone can wield the mini rig, a stealth enhancement rig that makes her almost inaudible.
Well, that's sort of how the tiny rig works. It removes all movement noise from the player, and it also doubles the aggression timers for all enemies, so that little overhead icon. But it doesn't affect any noise that you make from shooting unsuppressed guns, opening doors, containers, etc., etc.
Which synergizes incredibly well with her over-the-top stealth kill animations. I've got to be honest with you, Scav Girl is my favorite character to play, and I highly recommend everyone give her a go. She's the clear choice for any stealth or elimination-based quest or map. Up next, embodying third place, we have the Masked Man. He's a very middle-of-the-road character with moderate health and speed. Though the game will lie to you and tell you he's a weapons-focused class, he is not. Instead, this man is all about looting and carry capacity. Because this is not full. This is not full! Yeah, let's be real here, you're just gonna be hitting loot all on everything, forever. In addition, he's our first character capable of learning how to wield the grenade launcher. Bearing this, his adequate movement speed and generous health pool in mind makes him the obvious choice for mech hunting, along with all the myriad benefits that might bring.
At least that's how I characterized Masked Man back before the AT-43 was added to the game and before the LMG update. Now Masked Man is the premier anti-bossing character. He's got the weapon loadout to take out armies, and he's way, way faster than Bagman. So with the modern game, we could kind of characterize Masked Man as actually being more of a evasion-style heavy character, which is it's kind of a weird way of saying it, but that's kind of how he plays.
Just over halfway through the list, and we're finally at the community's favorite character. This is Shaman, our high-speed, high-capacity character. His playstyle makes him a bit of a community darling, and I think even the developers like him a lot, given the fact that they decided he still gets to have a minifig 40 years after everything went to shit. His skills enhance his lethality at close range as well as carrying capacity and speed. His stats and capabilities are balanced enough that you really can't go wrong and he can handle almost any kind of mission. His only weakness being that he can't carry some of the larger weapons.
And in our post-A-price-must-be-paid world, that's actually a huge downside to Shaman. It pretty much entirely gimps him in the late game and forces players to play the heavier characters.
Or biggest rigs. Honestly, those limitations won't hold you back very much, and I don't think you'll have to play him for very long before you will understand why Shaman is just so very popular. Our penultimate character is Gunhead. And there's a bit of a tragedy here. I've been opening up each of these characters with a small animation. Fundog makes these for every time you die and you get introduced to your new character model. Unfortunately, Gunhead doesn't get anything like that. So I've taken the liberty of showing off his personality a little bit myself.
This is another thing that has been changed. They gave Gunhead a little walking entry animation, and it's incredibly boring. So I stand 100% behind the segment that I made following this. But notice the show note here, where I apologize for routinely referring to Gunhead as a he, which, I put in because it's a bit silly to gender a robot. But I got a number of comments, people being like, oh no, that's kind of woke. What the fuck do you mean? Sorry for calling it a he. Listen, I may be woke. That's your call to make. I don't care. But if you refer to your toaster as a he rather than an it, you are not anti-woke. You are not based. You are schizophrenic. I still love that section. It's way better than the little, like, boring-ass animation that they gave Gunhead. Though I suppose I did go way too hard comparatively. And yes, you did see me killing a medium mech with a surplus shotgun there. It was a lot of fun to make that segment. But also, that segment is very important to the channel's history. You see, that right there, that was my first bit of music inclusion that demonetized a video in my very first video. And that creative decision set the tone for the entire fucking channel. So every time you listen to a song in one of my videos, or there's a musical accompaniment section, and you're like, yeah, that was cool, you can thank that Gunhead intro. Nothing else. That is what set that precedent. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
If you can't tell what I'm saying, Gunhead is good. Really good. So good we really need to stop this shit.
You are not this guy.
Fuck you!
Oh, and there we have a little clip from SLC Punk. If you haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend it.
Because that attitude absolutely does not survive first contact with the G-head. So named because of, you know, the gun for a head, which just so happens to be an automatically tracking turret that you can upgrade into being an automatic shotgun turret. Veteran players probably feel like I'm playing two truths and a lie with them. Because Gunhead is this good when he's used right. The problem is Gunhead can't heal, nor can he aim down any iron sights. With such a limited range and health pool, it's very easy to be exposed and die with Gunhead. But if you have the right equipment and know your enemy spawns and maps, he's unstoppable. Did I mention he can equip all of the game's rigs?
Except for the tiny rig. The Gunhead can't equip the tiny rig.
Yeah, I love Gunhead. If you told me the game could only have Gunhead and Scab Girl, I'd still play it just as much. And then last, but far from least, we have the Bagman. High strength, high health, high carry capacity, excellent weapon options, very slow speed. This is what happens when a little boy grows up wanting to be Gunhead. Just like Shaman, he can buff his rig capacity, but even further to 25%. But he can wield all of the largest rigs like Maskman or Gunhead, meaning the Bagman is the clear choice if you just want to loot an entire map. You will spend so much time spamming loot all that other enemies will show up wanting the smoke. This is an obvious mistake on their part, as with a bit of investment, Bagman can wield every weapon in the game. Additionally, he alone both has a head and can wield Painless, the game's heavy machine gun. An experience I recommend everyone try at least once. Of course, the Batman is not the Doom guy. He's too slow for that. To demonstrate, I set up this quick little competition.
Boy, oh boy, am I glad I did this demonstration back before they added the stamina feature, which would have made it pretty much impossible. But a couple of things to point out. First off, I have no idea why I accepted Scab Girl being on night shift, because it just visually doesn't work out. I have higher standards for myself these days. And secondly, notice the soundtrack playing right here. I'm going to tell you a little bit of fun Rose lore. Tom and Jerry in Fists of Furry, which is the game this piece of music is from. It's one of those games that I played as a kid that I was convinced was one of the greatest video game experiences of all time. And this song, the theme song, has been stuck in my head since I was tiny. Now, I haven't played that game since I had a working N64 when I was a small child. So it's one of those things that I have been avoiding emulating and playing because I am, in my memory, convinced it's awesome. It's great. It's perfect. And I don't want to ruin that by actually experiencing it as an adult. Anyways.
A quick sprint across the map in Elephant Mausoleum. Bagman versus Scab Girl, and it's not even close. You might have noticed the Bagman has a bit of a friend following him this entire time. He's not fast enough to evade the cyborgs. Admittedly, I am cheating a bit here. My Scab Girl is max prestige, but still, this is bleak. And you know, watching this might have you wondering, why would I play Bagman? And the reason really is just the carry capacity. He's better than Maskman. He is. If you can look past his speed, he's a flat upgrade. That said, you do have to look past his speed. And you know, it's a lot to look past. Which really gets into the weakness of Bagman and Gunhead, and why I don't think new players should bother with them at all, despite how good they are. Oh well. Bye, Scab Girl. Alright, while this is happening, and he's finishing up, let's talk about what I meant. Both Gunhead and Bagman can kill almost anything if they know it's coming. But that's predicated on you having the equipment to kill those things, and knowing where it's coming from. Honestly, early on, you're just going to die. You're going to die a lot. They're too slow and too conspicuous for new players to survive. I mean, I don't know what else to say here. He's having more trouble with cyborgs on day shift. The Forever Winter isn't a normal shooter. You can't just fight everything and expect to make it.
Those of you who watched my video, How to Beat the Forever Winter, know that I have revised my opinion on that over the last year. You can, in fact, fight everyone. It's just hard, but you can do it. I did it. I am the European god of death!
So I honestly kind of question even if they should be available right away, because this is a player trap, to be perfectly honest. People will play these, think, oh god, this is unplayable, and not want to play anymore. And for now, we're on a fresh count, so let's put Bagman away and stick with Shaman. As this quest isn't region locked, we could go back to Scorched Enclave, but for the sake of the tour, let's go to Ashen Mesa instead. We only have the one entry point option, because everyone hates us still, but that's okay. And since we changed characters, we have to rebuild our combat loadout. Thankfully, we picked up an optic, so we don't need to invest in eye bleach. But with that, let's get into the weapon customization as a whole. There are a lot of guns in this game. Some guns have a few parts you can change out. Others are Lego kits, and some can't be customized at all.
Hey, another rebalancing change. Just about every weapon now accepts at least an upgrade, even if it's something silly and tacked on, like on this 36M up on the screen right now, you can now throw a suppressor on after the flash hider. Yeah, it doesn't actually change the model. But you can upgrade the gun now, technically.
You can find parts for any gun in the game in the weapon mod loot containers, as well as upon the corpses of your enemies, and in the shops. However, this is the most toxic kind of gun shop, where apparently we have to show our range certificates before we're allowed to buy a handguard, because we have to have a certain weapon XP in order to buy parts here. Because, yeah, weapons all gain XP and level up independently. A system that, near as I can tell, only affects which parts you can buy in the shop, so yeah. Honestly, it's all flavor. The only parts that really matter are bigger magazines and suppressors. Suppressors which you can buy from the vendors in the Attachments tab, which has to be different from the Parts tab because suppressors are sneaky and hard to find. Also, none of the attachments are weapon specific, unlike the parts. Anyways, you get the gist of it. Let's just equip our AK and hit the road. Welcome, friends and scavengers, to dusky and gorgeous Ashen Mesa, home to drone on scavenger warfare, as well as drone on drone warfare, and even radar tower on drone warfare. For the cardiovascularly inclined, we have a extensive and exciting track and field course, as well as romantic vistas, viewing such iconic landmarks as the anime superweapon Shantytown. Try and trace that perfect circle. Or this European bunker that they just cannot keep the Eruskins out of. They're probably trying to stop the drones. Or this European Titan that they couldn't save before and can't keep the Eurasians out of now. Or how about the single most gorgeous bridge in this game? Damn, isn't it striking? I mean, I know this game is screenshot bait, but wow.
And there we had the second of the two map intro segments, and I think the better of the two. Also, I wasn't lying when I say I think this bridge in particular is beautiful and screenshot worthy, because a screenshot of this bridge has been my desktop background for the last 13 months.
Anyways, someone somewhere may have given you the impression there's a lot of drones in Ashen Mesa, and it's true. Here they are, starting right above us. Fun fact, if you're a bit laggy in multiplayer, sometimes you can spawn in after they've already come down on you, so that's fun. Anyway, that's not our problem right now, so we're going to continue east along this ridge and enter the Shantytown. Ashen Mesa is quite a sprawling map. I expect you to spend a lot of time sprinting. Luckily, sprint is unlimited in this game.
Or at least it was back then. I swear, the number of people who told me that I jinxed it by making this video, it's ridiculous. But yes, this video was made before there was a stamina system. Sprinting was unlimited, along with jumping and everything else that uses stamina in the modern game, and that's also why there were no stamina perks being brought up or discussed in the character variety discussion earlier. This has been one of the biggest changes to the game, and while there have been a lot of growing pains with it, obviously people going from unlimited sprint to constrained stamina system brought about some negative feelings because they were being more limited, but I think overall this was actually a good addition to the game just to kind of limit our mobility a bit because we really were just sprinting everywhere. And in the modern game, if you still want to have that kind of ability for a second, we have the adrenaline stims.
Entering into the super weapon shanty, there are two options. We can either go forward into a courtyard surrounded by death and a few more flavors of death, or hear me out, we can break right and go up some gantries and make our way to the big loot overlook. Personally, I am slightly more motivated by money than death, so we're gonna go that way.
More motivated to follow money than my own death, I should say. If given the choice between loot the corpses or kill more dudes, I will always pick kill more dudes.
It's also happily where our large item spawns are and where we're going to find our water. As well as some friends. Here we have some Eurasian assaulters. Thankfully, we were smart enough not to take the surplus rifle, even though it's free, so they're not that big of a deal. Its little California compliant magazine just could not carry us through this encounter. Finishing up, we can get to the real work, which is looting. First up is the eminently utilitarian medical container.
Eminently utilitarian. God, I'm such a dweeb.
These can spawn all manner of medkits as well as E-nuggets, which are actually fairly valuable and worth taking. I'm gonna just pop one of these right now. Next up, we have the generic but lucrative supplies container. These are where you'll find map-specific items like these neurolinks, which are very valuable and worth taking, as well as some just generic random loot. And we'll cap it off with a weapon mods box, inside of which is a legally not Vortex Strike Fire, and some Kala parts. Kala parts are shared between the AK and RPK, so they synergize really well with our current equipment. Taking a quick scan of the ground here, we can find our water barrel. Yay! Large items do spawn aplenty up here, so taking a look at another one, all water will look like this, just a blue little jug. And with that, believe it or not, we're pretty much done with our quest and done here. So, making our way back down via these stairs to the northeast, I think it'd be worth going into what kind of loot you should be looking for in the loot-focused extraction shooter. Starting off, and strictly financially speaking, your bread and butter items are going to be your IFFs.
Not anymore! The drop rates have been reduced dramatically. Do not sell off bulk IFFs in the modern game. Please, for the love of the Rat King. Don't do it. Just don't.
They can be found in bulk, they have no carry weight, and basically no volume, so you can have as many as you want in your rig. They drop from pretty much everywhere and everyone. They come in multiple tiers. The tiers are worth more as you scale up. They also get rarer, to the point of frustratingly rare for the high tier ones.
Thankfully, at least nowadays, we can scale up the IFFs. Like, you can use 3, I think, level 1s to make a level 2, and so on and so forth. It used to be you had to get a level 3 IFF as a separate drop, which sometimes could just be impossible.
Then there are the map-specific items. There's loads of different ones with different names, but anything you find in the generically named supply or storage containers is usually a solid bet. Be careful not to just hit loot all, though, because they also spawn a lot of trash. Then in terms of enemy drops, anything with its name in it, particularly from like elite heavy enemies, is going to be fairly valuable. And for generic loot, anything that calls itself an intel item is going to have a pretty good weight to value ratio. You can just safely ignore any consumable.
Here is another change to the meta. We would never leave alcohol like this unlooted nowadays. Not only do you need it to upgrade your bar, which, locks out the entire end game, but also alcohol is really valuable, so everyone grabs it, because why wouldn't you want to sell it?
You don't plan to use yourself. For the lootable large item category, water is water and has its own value.
Something I didn't mention here, because this is a new players video, but that veterans bring up a lot, is using water to make money. Because, when you have a character that's maxed out on their prestige, either max prestige or they have the max amount of experience and haven't prestiged up yet, and a full water tank, every water barrel gets converted to 25,000 credits, which is a great way of generating a lot of credits very quickly. But, you have to have a character that's done, at least on their prestige tier, and a full water tank. This is very difficult for new players to get. It's more of a mid to late game money-making method, and it didn't really feel like it would be valuable to bring up here.
But on top of that, you have lockboxes, which are worth a little over 11,000 each, as well as jerry cans and explosives at over 9. And then there's the gacha boxes. Listen, so this isn't like a pay-for-win thing. You find them in the game, and they just give you low-level weapons, good for starting an account off, really, and nothing else. But still, I've played with people, told them, hey, you're new, grab that gacha box, and had them look at me and say, man, there's gacha in this game too. And it doesn't matter what you say to them now, they are already disappointed. They're not that obtrusive, but you should pick them up. You absolutely should. And if you don't want to, I also fully understand.
Our original gacha boxes, aren't they cute? They have been renamed to scavengers boxes in the game nowadays. They've been highly nerfed. You're not getting like USAS 12s and MG34s off of the ones you just find laying around anymore. And also, they've been massively enhanced. There's gacha fucking everywhere. Bunko gives it to you. The dog gives it to you. They come from quests. They come from the ground. Everything is gacha, and they've even been made necessary for the end game because the explosive charge item, which everyone needs, only comes from gacha boxes. Well, only typically comes from gacha boxes. There are weird edge cases. But anyways, this problem has gotten way worse. That's not something I approve of personally in the game's development cycle, but hey-ho, it's where we're at now.
Hopping back into the action, we're just going to fight our way out to the eastern side of the Shanty here. going down the stairs, and then we'll make our way down to the plains below through these stepped ruins right here. It's important we do this in steps because there is falling damage in the game, and especially at a low prestige, it can pretty easily kill us. I think we're pretty safe to speed the footage up from here. We're just going to run our way across. We're running towards our extraction point, which is this icon up on the little compass. Just a few thoughts. While running across, don't get stepped on, and maybe consider not just running across at night. Just a thought. We're going towards the bunker extract, so we're going to skirt the European fortification here. And as per usual, it is guarded. Luckily, an abundance of medkits makes up for some pretty terrible play here. Enemies do get staggered while you're shooting at them, but they recover quickly, so if you don't estimate it well like I just did, then they will just shoot you back. But with that, we've made it through and quest complete. Thank you, Slade, I did do a good job. And this nets us our first rig upgrade. The Gunrunner rig, so let's get into it. Gunrunner rigs open up a new inventory slot for us that allow us to exploit the broken and damaged weapons scattered about the battlefield. You can find broken weapons either from static spawns, and those can be any weapon in the game, no holds barred, or you can loot the weapons off of your killed enemies, and every enemy will just drop what they have. Next, you're also going to need some of those IFFs from before. It's worth noting that enemies can drop a second loot container that looks like this bunch of pouches rather than the normal bag, and that will always contain 2 IFFs.
Yeah, see, those containers right there, they don't exist anymore. At least I haven't seen one in months, so don't rely on lots and lots of just random IFFs that you don't need anymore.
Thirdly, you're going to need to invest in the weapon crafting station, which is a bit expensive, to say the fucking least.
Hey, look, as I mentioned earlier, no crafting supply is needed, though back in the day, 800,000 credits was a lot more than it is now. Inflation's a bitch, right? Anyways, the only way you could really get that amount of money in any decent amount of time then was by killing medium mechs, because codexes used to go for 650,000 credits each. And they were the only really high-value item in the game, to the point where people were just spending all of their game time hunting medium mechs because there wasn't really anything else that could bring in, like, the value that you needed in order to upgrade your innards and buy all your upgrades and all that.
And then, once you have it all together, then you can, wait some real life time. Yeah. Boy, howdy, isn't that a good system? Especially one, there's definitely no easier ways to just obtain the same guns. Let me just be real with you. Some of the rarest weapons of the game can only be attained by repairing them. But honestly, you should just look at this as a looting upgrade. This is more money, more experience, and eventually some exotic guns. Hopping straight back to our quest list, I think it's about time that we make some friends other than just, Slade. Conveniently, the next quest will accomplish just that. And it's a scavenging quest. We need 3 European drone components. European drones are these cylindrical helicopter little guys, and the loot you're actually looking for is called European drone debris. Not components, debris. Sorry about that.
Okay, so this iteration of this quest was actually replaced when they added in the new tutorial quest line, though they replaced it with an identical quest. Now, you might think, hey, they updated the quest. Does that mean they changed the name in the quest and on the item so that they line up? Is it now renamed European Drone Components, or does the quest now, or I should say, the new quest now say you're getting European Drone Debris? No! They did rename the debris, now it's called a European Drone Flight Controller, but the quest still tells you to get components, which is a little thing, but particularly for somebody who does not speak English as their first language, that could be really confusing, and is something that I think Fundog needs to address. That's a really simple and easy fix to make the game more accessible. And somehow they've managed to do this twice now.
We can do this quest almost anywhere. They are a frequent and common enemy, except for in Underground Cemetery, where they will not spawn at all. And by frequent, I mean frequent. We're gonna fight a lot of drones. Killing a drone does not guarantee that you're gonna get a piece of debris. On the other hand, some drones have more than enough of this entire quest in one body. And you don't need to get them all in one go. You can just grab one, extract, go find another map, get another one, so on and so forth. A piece of advice I have is to not try this on the map Babel, which is not to say that there won't be drones there. There will be a lot of drones there. It's just that you kill them and they fall down into the infinite void, so no scavenging for you. No matter where you get them from, though, parts are parts, and eventually you'll extract with them all. Netting us the Eurasian and Euruscan embassies, but not the Western embassy. As you can see, we're still missing part of our quest list down here. Slade has one more quest for us, but it's just an extraction, so let's just boop, boop, boop. Done. Yeah, there we go. Everyone's unlocked. Now that we actually have our quest givers unlocked, we can go into some of the variety of mission objectives we can get into. And there's a fair amount of variety, everything from like looting specific map items, little things like just a reward for getting out and alive, pretty much. Hacking a specific bunker, That reminds me, I haven't really gone into the hacking yet, have I? Right, hacking. So, all throughout the map you will find little keypads. Interacting with them will bring up this display. You'll notice we have a bunch of symbols up top on the keypad, and over here on the right we have a timer. If you get it wrong, or even catastrophically fail, it's no big deal. You don't get locked out or anything. You can just try again. You have your full minute.
This is no longer fully true anymore. They have added consequences for failure, particularly with the radar walkers, which if you fail to hack them right, they will just eat you now. That's fun, and I think a change that's a good one.
It's really quite simple. You just have to match the symbols to the ones up top. This is actually the same system used to activate the radar walkers. Oh, right, fuck, the radar walkers. I need to go into those. So, our big spindly boyfriends here. They are neutral units. You hack into them. There's 3 in every map, but they are ordered. You can't just go to them randomly. Activating any number other than 3 doesn't really get you anything. But if you do finish all 3, we are rewarded with a drop-in from some brand new friends who are invulnerable, so you should run away. You also get limited time access to more information about the specific map you unlocked all 3 on, which pretty much just tells you what percentage of the units are going to be from which faction.
It also keeps you up to date with all of your Theater of War mechanic changes, which I didn't mention here because I did not understand the Theater of War system at the time. Particularly not how deep it goes and just how much variety there is to it. I think I have to make a Theater of War video here pretty soon because I don't think most players understand just how much is going on with the intermap interactions. But not mentioning that is a big deficiency in this video. That's probably the single biggest just omission that I have.
Which can be useful if you're hunting a specific unit. What were we talking about? Oh, right, the quest list. As I was saying, there's quite a lot of variety, but if you don't like any of the quests on offer, you can simply back out of the menu and just enter it again, and they will all be re-rolled for you. And you will want to re-roll them, because proper quest selection is important. Some quests are incredibly rewarding and always worth doing.
Alright, it's best to just rip the band-aid off. Aerial Scavenge sucks now. It used to be that you would turn in 3 Eurasian drone components, and you would get an M79 as your reward. Now the quest still exists, but it just gives you like 500 credits or something ridiculously small, which, yeah, Aerial Scavenge was too good. I, along with I think most veteran players who are playing around that area, just have a giant dragon's horde of M79 grenade launchers that they will never run out of from doing this over and over and over and over again. But it does kind of suck that what was such an iconic and typical weapon, like so far as it was almost the standard for a lot of players, is now, I won't call it unobtainable, but it's extremely difficult to obtain since you either have to repair it, which you have to find it randomly, just spawned into a map, it's quite rare, or you have to get lucky with the tunnel vendors and hope they have one for you, and it's like 100k. Times have definitely changed.
Some are, frankly, broken code spaghetti, and you shouldn't approach at all.
They have since fixed AA Tech Extraction. The quest actually works now. It used to be that you couldn't get the component at all, so the quest was not completable. But they fixed that by just spawning it in certain containers on the map now.
And some others work just fine. And you really will wish they didn't. Because they're just ass. They're ass and they make the game worse.
King of Kings still sucks. This entire section is still relevant.
You know what? I'm gonna fucking do it. I will collect all the Rat King residue for you on your behalf, and I will show it to you right now. That way no one ever has to do this again. Quest motherfucking complete. Amazing. This is amazing. I'll get people started looking into this residue right away. Here are upgrades for your rig. They should help you carry more items during your travels. Thank you. Fuck you! There, it is done, and for now and forever we can all consign this quest to the abandoned pile where it belongs! Ha ha! Anyways, we are new, so we're going to start off focusing on easy quests in maps we've already been to. And honestly, even if you just take the extract quest, that'll be huge. Because at least for now, we really need to focus on grinding water, and this will help a lot. A really simple low-level water run will take us a couple of minutes, and this will double from 1 water to 2 water. So, you know, that's 1 water a minute. Not bad. It'll only take us a few minutes to get up to where we need to be. Look, we've already got our first water unlock. Since we're over 11 water, we now have Gorillo.
Luca. We unlock Luca now.
Our European weapons vendor. We can sell things to him to increase our European faction reputation, and he also just sells new weapons and ammo for us to peruse. But when we get to 16 water, that's when things start going wild. Meet Bundleton, our best bro. He sells dreams and backpacks. Mostly backpacks, dreams, and backpacks. And large items. Oh shit, we have to go into large items too. First, the rigs. The game gives us our first 2 rigs for free, but Bun here can sell us 9 more. Rigs are permanent upgrades, you do not lose them if you die. He also sells rig upgrade parts, and you do lose these if you die with them. Alright, now hold up with me here. I'm gonna throw a lot at you. So your rig parts will belong to one of 9 slots, And then if it's a container, it'll have one of 3 sizes, small, medium, or large. And then a quality ranking, either high or low quality.
Something I didn't go into detail here is that the low quality upgrades don't actually change your carrying capacity at all. They are just an aesthetic change, while the high quality upgrades all just double your capacities. I also didn't bother going into the fact that there's volume and there's weight, and those are both calculated differently and side by side, so you need to count for both of them. I made a whole extra video going over the carrying capacity system in the game, so if you want more information, check there, not here.
Large item slots will either be normal attachment points or reinforced attachment points, which do block bullets from behind, which is nice. And then you have your gun runner slots, which cannot be upgraded. I know this is a lot, it is, and it's kind of a mess, but I'm gonna get you through it. On the Fretch account, all we have is the standard and gun runner, so we're gonna start with the gun runner. And as you can see, it has a center top item slot, which is a large slot, and a bottom attachment point. So we're just gonna put in a large upper container of high quality and a reinforced lower attach. And you can find those in Bundleton under top and bottom, and this will already be a huge upgrade for our looting ability in the game. Because this is no fun. We don't want this, so let's never do this again. Okay, so getting back to our large items, the first one we have up will be the TAC Cam. This is a dismembered cyborg head that lets us see through walls, yay. Which is handy if you know you want to get the drop on something that's hunting us.
While also low-key drawing them into us, so use it on the move. Don't stay stationary, kids.
It also highlights all loot containers and interactable objects, so it can be pretty handy for a new player getting used to a new map. Next up is my beloved pneumatic jump. It's a mobility enhancement item that's really hard to compare anything else against. You just have so much more access to everything, and it is absolutely unparalleled for just getting the fuck out. Boing. Boing. Moving on to the 20mm turret. Don't let 20mm get you too excited. They are friendly, but they die quickly. And, well, yeah, when they do hit, they're not very damaging, and it's a big question of when they hit.
Just think how much the understanding of how to use the 20mm turret would change for players if they dropped the 20mm part of the title, and maybe changed the model a little bit to make it, like, scrappy. Call it, like, the ball-bearing turret or something like that. Let people know that damage is not really its job.
Which causes a lot of players to think these are pretty useless. They are not. Because what this does do is draw enemy aggro. Watch this, I'm being shot at from the drop turret. Then notice I'm not being pursued. And if I creep back down, I mean, you might catch a stray, but watch what happens when it blows up. They all dropped aggro from me. I was still there, so it was a problem, but you get what I mean. It's great for just fucking off. Then we have the IED, which is a proximity mine. It's a bit funny. It takes a couple of seconds to arm itself once you put it down, as indicated by that little red light. And while the turret is good for letting us get away, the IED is used to tell other things to go away, at least for a little while. Also, if you bring a pneumatic jump and an IED, swapping through them midair with the 5 key can let you do something absolutely hilarious. You have no idea how much that little damage bit excites me.
To this day, I still think that bombing NPCs by pneumatic jumping over them and dropping an IED, which will always place itself directly on the ground, not in the air, is one of the most hilarious trick shots you can pull off in the game. It's not very effective as a strategy, but it's really hard to top as just a dumb way of having fun.
Then from that high watermark, we have the rig light. It's a flashlight. You can find these pretty commonly in maps. You know, it lights things up, lets you see them better, I guess, kinda. Then we have explosives. These are map interaction items. You can put them in almost every map. It makes things explode, yeah. But more importantly, it also invites friends! This is the shield officer. He's an Orgamech. He is invulnerable, so run away. And he also has a pneumatic jump, so that's fun. And then our second map interaction item is the jerry can. Just a little can of fuel. We can use them to power up generators, which can do various things. Like, for instance, activate the anti-drone cannons, haha!
And see, here's a place where I could have and should have brought up the theater of war mechanics that I was ignorant of. Because activating these turrets in Babel does more than just activate some turrets in Babel. It suppresses drone operations across multiple maps. But having just watched my comprehensive new player's guide, no one would have any idea that was even happening. And I feel like I slightly misled you rats. I'm sorry for that.
Fuck you, flyboys, I've got friends! Allies in low places after all. Oh, holding a reload. How are you already dead? No, not you too! Well, whatever, forget the jerry cans. The only thing left is, is the secret item. Yeah, boy, you know you want to learn about it. And like, it's not the most secretiest secret in all of gaming.
Okay, this is my video, so I'm gonna go on a little rant. FTL, right? So, I unlocked the Crystal Cruiser the hard way, using the Mantis Cruiser the first time I did it. I did the whole quest line, I was really lucky to be able to pull it off, and I was incredibly proud of that Crystal Cruiser. To people who have played it and done it, you know how much it means to have the damn Crystal Cruiser, and then FTL corrupted my save game, and I lost it. I've since re-completed FTL a second time, but this time I just used Rock Cruiser Type C to do it easily and bypass half the quest line, which feels a little dirty. Anyway, that was all I had to say here. Just, I'm a little salty about FTL's save system. That's all.
Or anything, but Bunko does just show up as a pop-up and leave you to wonder, sitting there like,
This is no longer a clue. It's a game. You may have just gotten checkmate, but we're playing Chinese checkers. And as my old friend Confucius say, the hunter has become the hunter-ed. The chaser has become the chost. Dame Fortuna has had her franking privileges revoked. It seems the portrait has painted the artist, sketching the reverser, who has become the reverse set.
What doth life? Xavier Renegade Angel, one of the greatest shows to have ever been put to television. But alas, this whole section right here about unlocking Bunko is actually entirely irrelevant to the modern game. Now Bunko just has his own tab in the quest terminal as soon as you complete the tutorial quests, which is a change that brought greater clarity and direction, I guess, for a lot of players, but to me, personally, also robbed a lot of the mystique from the railgun, and also, I guess, Garage Days, and I feel like it made the game worse. I don't like this change. The old, unlock system, while the multiplayer unlock that we're about to go into in just a second was a weird step that did hinder some players, particularly players that played offline or with bad connections, it just doesn't have the same vibe to it anymore. It just doesn't have the panache, the mystique. It was an easy secret to just kind of bumble into and unlock accidentally for a lot of people, and then other people had no idea what they were doing and didn't even know it was a feature in the game. But Fundog might have thrown the baby out with the bathwater here.
So I want to go into how to unlock all this real quick, but in order to do that, we're gonna have to touch on multiplayer first. So any game's fun with friends, right? That's a given, everyone knows that. I don't want to hate on multiplayer. I play multiplayer. I play randoms, but at the same time, you are going to get the best experience with the Forever Winter playing solo. You just are.
This is another place where my opinion has evolved over time as the game is updated. Multiplayer is much more stable now, and far more importantly, the tunnels mean we now have longer raids, so you're not competing to try to loot whatever happens to be around you. It turns out teamwork's easier when we're not fighting over scraps. Who would have thunk it?
There's no way around it. It's mostly the detection system, I find. You all share one, squad detection meter, so any idea of, stealth and maneuver, that goes right out the window. You also get HKs on you immediately. It can be a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, you can dick around and have a great time, but that's more of a, I've played through most of the game, I'm running out of content, what can I do now? Sort of deal, in my mind, at least. You also end up spending a lot of time in the innards waiting for everyone to get ready. A lot of time.
This has in no way changed. Be prepared to spend a lot of time in the innards if you're into multiplayer. Joining a popular lobby is a whole lot of hurry up and wait.
Start learning maneuvers like this. Whoop. Whoop. Alley-oop. Maybe get, a soundtrack on or something. Let's try it. Dance party.
You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round.
So for now, for this unlock, the only time the game forces you to play multiplayer, which is not the best design, but is what it is, you can just log in. You don't actually have to play a match. Just as long as there's 4 people in the squad, you're going to be fine with Bunko. And then, I don't know, you can just loot their donation box and then fuck off.
You know, I said that bit as a joke, but since then, I've had people actually hop into my squad while it was set to public and just steal everything out of the donation box and fuck off. To the scav named Frozen Storm out there, I saw you. You did it twice.
Anyways, that was the strictest of Bunko's hidden requirements. Next, you just need to have 3 quests from the scavenger faction in your quest terminal. And you don't have to do them, you just have to have them in your quest list. And finally, we have to pay Bunko off, because he wants his blood money. And to do that, I suggest just buying 2 drills, because we're going to need them anyway. Look at that, 20k, and we suddenly have his attention. And this is our big unlock, a new quest vendor. Yeah, I told you we had it fully unlocked before, but I lied. Anyways, Bunko's quests are actually done in order, and they're heavily storyline focused, so I'm not going to spoil them for you. Just know that once you do them, you can redo them in any order and get the rewards again. What are the rewards and what are the quests? Let me give you an example. Alright, and while we do this, I just want you to keep this rig, the equipment runner, in mind. You should be saving up for this. Try to buy this as soon as you can. We're going to need it. Anyways, we're going to go to Scorched Enclave since everyone knows that map. Just like before, we're going to rush down towards the central bunker. Now, because we have one of the electromagnetic railway quests active, there will be more enemies outside of it. For instance, I've never not seen an Exo standing out front. But that's okay, we'll just juke it around and get inside. Fun fact, you can still interact with objects while you're being staggered, including closing doors, and NPCs can't open doors, so we're safe. Anywho, what we want is this static map object, which is actually a component for our railgun. From here, exit as normal. And for our troubles, we are rewarded with, a gacha box. And the part that we got, and a gacha box. It's a special gacha box. It only has railgun parts and ammo, but like, why couldn't he just give us random parts? Why does it have to be in a box? Anyways, that's not the only way to find railgun parts. You can also find them on the corpses of enemies, like this chopper here. But by far the fastest and most reliable way is just going to be grinding out Bunko's quests. After grinding that out for a couple hours, you're now going to need to invest in the weapon crafting station. It's only 500,000 credits and 20 water. What are you, one of the poors? Of course you have this. And after all that, you get to fucking wait. Hurry up and wait indeed. Look at that. Look at that. Just an extra 12 hours added on just because, I don't know, fuck you, that's why. I guess we'll play it tomorrow. But it's fine, we have all 3 parts. They're large items, we just put them in the equipment runner. We just put them. Only one player can carry a part at a time. They're forcing us back into multiplayer again. But this time, we have to also manage a whole bunch of rare resources and fucking 12 hours of wait time. This is terrible. Why would you do this? Why would you do this? But you know what? It doesn't matter. Because a great Taoist sage once told me a secret. They said, double-click the large lockbox. Thundog, don't you dare patch this exploit.
To all of our misfortune, they did, in fact, patch this. So now the railgun cannot be used by a single scav without mods. To help make up for that, they added in the AT-43 Mass, which does the same job as the railgun, but kind of better in some ways and kind of worse in others. But that's a heavy rifle, so only heavy characters can wield it. This means all the light characters are basically worthless in the end game because you can't use the railgun anymore. At least not unless you're in a group, and then the group has to agree about who's going to get the codex because you're only going to get one, really. And as a result, the game has really narrowed the player base down to the kind of people who are willing to grind up Maskman or Bagman or Old Man. Or potentially Gunhead, although if you're using Gunhead to fight Unkillables, you're really rolling those dice with the HKs, that's all I'm saying.
Whatever you want to call it, this is the only thing keeping your, endgame alive. Do I sound agitated? I'm sorry. Let's go shoot something with it. The railgun allows us to target enemies that are normally invulnerable. And I've got Stepmother Courage stuck, so we couldn't ask for a cleaner demonstration than this. You begin placing the railgun with Q. It's important to note the weapon has a very limited arc of fire, so it needs to be facing in the right direction to hit your target when you start.
I had no idea how prophetic I was being by showing off how to kill a Mother Courage specifically with the railgun, by the way, because, damn, do we need to kill a lot of Mother Courages these days. And also, I had a lot of fun with the little dialogue blurbs over the cyborgs. A little too much fun, maybe, for something that almost nobody's gonna notice. But I loved doing it, and that's all that really mattered to me.
And you can't pick it back up again. Finishing it off with E allows us to start firing. Notice HKs get summoned right away. This is safest to do at night shift for this reason, though that does effectively limit your options to Mother Courage and the Grabber. It's just an easy way to start off. Once she's down, she'll drop a loot box and we need to run over and place a drill on it. See, I told you we'd need it. Now, the drill is noisy. It takes 1 minute to get all the way through the box, and it will draw all enemies across the map towards us and aggro them onto us, so the easiest way to survive is to simply be elsewhere. Running back to it, we collect our treasure, the Codex. Aw, I almost feel bad. Look at her. She regrets her terrible pathfinding. These codexes are the big treasures in the game. Don't be greedy, you don't need anything else on the map. We're done. We have what we came for. And they tell us not to get rid of them. I don't know why, but it makes me very, very reticent to sell them.
I think the word you were looking for there was reluctant, Rose. Stop trying to sound like a smarty pants. It doesn't impress anyone, and also now we know what codexes are for, because they added them in as crafting materials for several upgrades, and also the Mother Courage specifically is required for, building our Madonna of Ruin in the Cognition Cradle.
To just, throw it in your special secret loot box. Now, Aramaki and the Eurasians, hate us now. This will go for any faction. If you kill their invulnerable units, they will despise you. Thankfully, it was a fully successful hunt where we got a codex, so let's just sell it back. And yeah, they're quite valuable. Makes us buddies.
Or at least they were. Now they go for like $30K, which is the same price as a couple of bottles of whiskey or a pack of toilet paper. Which admittedly does make killing the unkillables a little bit more difficult in terms of the reputation system. Now you have to quest your way back up after the fact.
I'm gonna be real with you guys. I've been going hard lately.
I want it, I need it to make me feel heated. Shake it, take it, but break it, I'll share what I'll take it. Yes!
An Orgamech and Toothy in one railgun magazine was probably my single greatest railgun accomplishment, come to think of it. I'm glad I caught this on film. And I'm even happier I had the good sense to pair it with something as awesome as Death Grips.
And I've completely broken the game's economy. And you could too. Good dog. You and I are the most lethal things out on this wasteland, and I appreciate that we can respect each other.
You are not this guy.
Well, anyway, since I mentioned it, I should probably tell you why we have a secret item stash. Have you kids ever heard of a water thief? Now, a lot of players find them pretty intimidating, and perhaps rightfully so. Unlike any other faction, they'll follow you home to the innards, and the game really wants you to know that that's a possibility.
Ah, the old water thief warning when you start getting low on water. This is no longer a feature in the game, as many of you will know. The water thieves do not attack you for running out of water anymore, but they did, and this little notice here when you're out of water in the innards still popped up for a long time after that change. It might even still be in the game, though I think they've finally got rid of it. Alas, these days, attracting water thieves is a little harder, especially early on in the game.
But we don't have time for that, so let's go to their home first, which will be in the Frozen Swamp map under the Scavenger Camp entry. We don't need to bring anything too crazy, we're just going to be our Prestige 3 Shaman. We're going to bring an AK, a shotgun, and enough ammo and medkits to get us through it. We'll find them pretty much right from the get-go with this entry point. And they're quite easy to distinguish as they have even larger rigs than we do. I positioned myself very poorly and they're going to punch me for it since I don't have any cover here. But we'll make it through and be just fine. As they don't do that much damage. And it's worth noting they're not the only enemies in the area. And that they have several, like, turrets and drones, and those will still count towards your kill count if you're going for the quest. And from this point, it's pretty much just... Come on, shoot me! I know you can do it! Come on, do it! Aww. Ickle Baby's trying to use my tactics against me. No. Aww. And you're the lucky last one. Haha. Yay. Can you tell I enjoy genociding the water thieves? I still do. I actually do this quest, Water Wars, often in the modern game because it gives you 5 water as a reward. And, you know, as I mentioned earlier, that's 125k credits plus whatever you loot from the bodies, which is pretty nice. Now, these guys can be kind of spread out and hard to find. Ooh, is that one? Oh, never mind. But there's plenty of them here. You can just keep bullying them after you're done if you want to. Oh, by the way, press X to hop your camera from shoulder to shoulder. I didn't mention that before. Here, let's try a joke build for fun. I got 2 pistols and no front sights. Let's go! Both of these pistols actually have had their sights fixed as of a couple of months ago, so you can't really have as much fun as I was having here right now, though you'll probably have a better time overall. Another camera control on any character other than Gunhead, you can press Alt at any time to enter Gunhead training mode. Lord knows why you'd want to, but you can. Anyways. I have since learned that many players who play on controllers, which don't have the Alt key binding, really wish they had this ability themselves. I don't fucking understand. Just like in a real fight, winning is more about maneuvering than shooting. So, poor positioning and running out of supplies would get you killed here too. Anyway, win the quest, die, and lose the quest, give up, go home.
Hold on to this feeling.
Nothing I can do seems to really make them want to follow me. Even completely running out of water is totally fine and has no penalty. Unless, and only unless, we quit the game and log back in. Ooh, scary. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. There are actually stakes. We could actually lose something. In fact, we could lose everything. So we're going to want to take this seriously. Grab your best weapons and as many of the advanced medkits as you have and get ready to go. One of the scavs overturned a table by the quest terminal on their way out. Most players will recommend just pitching a tent right here and fending them off. We don't know where they'll be coming from, so just keep your ammo topped up. Running suppress won't do you any good. You can't hide. They're all part of the same squad. Sometimes you do have to sally forth. And with that, we're done. The quest will take a minute to notify and... Oh, hey! Multiple quest objectives again. Look at that, just like the tutorial. So, fun little factoid that was true then and is true now. This quest will wipe out your quest list. So any quest you had completed on the last raid you did won't count anymore. They won't be in your quest list when you complete the Water Thief invasion. But, a very important, big, beautiful but, if you just quit the game and log back in, they will all be restored and you can turn them in for all your rewards, which is useful to know if you had done some big ones. Anyway, don't leave yet. You want to loot their guns. It's important to take a gun runner rig while you do this, because look at these. Notice how they're not destroyed. They're disabled. And that's very special. These guns, these right here, we get to keep these. No crafting, no nothing. Remember how I said you have to craft some of these guns earlier? Yeah, well, once again, I lied. We just have them. They're ours. Honestly, it might be kind of the meta right off the start of the account to just run out of water and loot these dudes. Look, they even brought us 3 water. It's good to see that Uber Drinks is still proudly serving the greater Los Angeles area. But all right, maybe you don't have any supplies, so you could go in like really super undersupplied. Let's try that. All right, here's the first one. That was easy enough. All right, let's go. Number 2, and things are getting low. And shit, okay, we got him, but I'm out of ammo. Well, melee is mouse 3, let's go!
I changed my hat into
So, I made a whole video going over a raid without any guns at all, and you know what? This little segment right here is still the greatest thing about Melee in the Forever Winter that I've ever made, and possibly that exists. I love that little segment, as dumb as it is. Ah, man. Do you think he wondered if he broke into that guy's house right before the light faded on his bitch ass? Here, how about we killed him with their own guns? Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco! Yeah, well, really just all of the last few minutes to say, if they do manage to kill you, they'll take anything that's not in this secret vault, so if you have any valuables, you can keep it in there. And if you really can't be bothered, you can even invest in turrets to kill them for you. Alright, before we finish up, we should touch on night shifts. And my very first, and not even piece of advice, demand is that you run suppressed. You need to be suppressed. Welcome to night shift. It's a bit different. Notice this is not a battlefield anymore. Things have gone quiet, so don't make noise because the Eurasians rule the night.
They don't rule it. Nobody does. And they don't run in packs. And while they may not be as strong as apes, don't lock eyes with them. Don't do it. Puts them on edge. They might go into berserker mode, come at you like a whirling dervish, all fists and elbows. You might be screaming, no, no, no. All they hear is, who wants cake? Let me tell you something, they all do. They all want cake.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I get it. That stomp does it for me. Anyways, nighttime! Home to cyborgs, brawlers, Mother Courage, and the Grabber. And yes, those are primarily all melee enemies, so verticality is your friend. So, that is still true for the A and B, and to a certain extent the C rank night shift maps, but D maps all have way cooler night shifts as we all know now, but they didn't exist in the game when I made this guide. DTLA came out mid-production, it didn't have a night shift, they hadn't added night shift Babel yet. All of my favorite night shifts weren't in the game when I made this, and they are now, and I suggest you go play them. Like right now, stop the video, go play them! They're awesome! Honestly, the Matic jump here is just fucking goated. Though, of course, it is better just not to get caught in the first place, and, well, I suppose I should have mentioned before now that you can press C at any point to crouch, and that'll help you avoid detection. More than that, because if you're one of those weird groundlings who doesn't bring a pneumatic jump, if you press jump and then C, then you can climb over things that you otherwise wouldn't be able to reach. And here we have another change. Nowadays, we can just mantle automatically, which is way smoother and easier than crouch jumping. But that is what we had to do, you know, back in my day. Very handy. Now, you can still attract a lot of attention, especially if you fire unsuppressed weapons. Here's the thing about unsuppressed weapons. Not only do they generate attention to things around you, they also draw enemies that have not detected us in yet, like our friend over there. But other than all that, night shifts are actually pretty much just a normal map. You can do everything you would normally do in a night shift map. The night shift maps are actually pretty satisfying to me, but unfortunately you can't control when you get them or not. They just randomly happen when you're trying to go into the normal map. And because they're different, and because they happen randomly, a lot of players will just be like, ah, no, extract right away, we'll re-roll the map, and that's a damn shame. Because these maps are gorgeous, and you should experience them. They're honestly the game at its best a lot of time. Well, whatever, I guess. Thanks for coming to my midnight TED Talk. Moving on. Okay, so I am like 70, maybe 80 hours into filming and editing this, and you know what? I'm tired. In all honesty, I was really underselling the amount of time I put into this video, or really any of my videos. As of my current creative process, which is a bit better now that I'm not doing everything on my phone, it's like 1 to 2 to sometimes 3 hours of filming, voiceover, and editing per minute of footage you see up here on YouTube. Which is kind of wild to think about when I look at how many videos are on the channel and how much of a time commitment that's been over the last year. Like, whoo, damn! It's a good thing I love doing this. So we're gonna do the rest of this substitute teacher style. I'm just gonna do a run of Underground Cemetery, and you're gonna come along with me. Some things I didn't go over, most of the unkillables, which those are kind of our boss monsters-ish, and you should experience those for yourselves. They're fun, they're most of the fun of the game. I didn't go over all the maps, you should also experience those by yourself. didn't go into the hunter-killer system, so if you loot enough things or kill enough people, eventually the game will send some enemies after you.
Here we have another change. HKs no longer are deployed just from looting items in the map. Well, unless they're very special large items like codexes, which was definitely not how it used to play. It used to be that if you pick things up, there was always a chance HKs would spawn, and this would especially happen if you were trading items between players. Drop your squatty some ammo or a medkit, you are getting HKs on your ass, or at least you did. That's how it just was back then. Thankfully, things are better now.
They just kind of harass you and keep you moving. Honestly, if your eyes are open and your toes are grooving, they're not really a threat at all. In fact, they can kind of be profitable. But they do kill you if you just want to sit around and wait for things to clear up or loot everything in an area. All right, then I haven't gone into the grenades. Okay, fine, I'll use a visual aid. So we have supposed to help you be stealthy, but doesn't really help. Useless.
Ah, the grenades, another place where the game has updated itself successfully and helpfully. They are now way better. In fact, they're incredibly good now. You should always have some frag or cluster grenades on you, because why wouldn't you want to just murder people indiscriminately?
Almost as good as shooting a guy, and situationally really overpowered. I mean, again, biases on sleeve. I do love this game very passionately, and I recommend everyone give it a go. Hats off in particular to the art department and the sound department. Even if you don't want to play the game, even if you don't have a computer to run the game, you should listen to the soundtrack. It's on YouTube and it's glorious. There is modding support coming, or possibly here now-ish. I really want someone to rip I want Sybil's audio specifically from the correct version of In Circles from the Transistor game, and I want that spliced into the Mother Courage. Just imagine that in the middle of the night. That'd be glorious.
I liked that particular idea so much that I even shoehorned it into my Forever Winter radio broadcast, which if you haven't seen it, you should.
There also really needs to be some kind of punishment for picking up a codex or multiple codexes. It'd be cool if we could get like a 50% scale Mother Courage that isn't invulnerable, that just sprints at us like the female Titan the second we pick one up. Seriously, we need something aggressive like the Grabber that isn't an unkillable, that just charges us sometimes.
And nowadays we have the Sand Divers, which do just that while shooting at you, and I couldn't be happier. I love it.
I also feel like the characters need more kind of like special and unique traits, like Gunhead's awesome gunhead. Just something to distinguish them. Like for one, I will die on the hill that Scav Girl needs a hang glider. Or at least like a grappling hook, something. Something to exploit the verticality of these maps, because it's awesome, and we just don't use it enough.
We still don't have anything like that though. I'm waiting, Fun Dog. Very, very patiently.
We could also probably use some more like, I don't know, money sinks in the game somewhere, but I'm sure that'll come with time. I also really wish the guns had like working sights as default and always, because that really irks me. And just some of the guns I selected in general. It was weird choices. I won't fault them for what they did. They're their own people. They don't have to be gun people. But even saying all that, this game is an early access, and frankly, I'm happy with the game where it's at now. This is something special, and I really hope to see all you scabs out there sometime. So there's also the issues of like resolution and everything that you've been saying. I'm sure the frame rate's been terrible. That's my fault. It's not the game. It's my recording setup. I'm sorry. I am not a YouTuber. I'm not a screen capper. I don't do this, and I'm not set up for it. Right now, I'm talking into a corner by my water heater in my garage into my old Samsung phone, which is also what I've been using to edit most of this video on. Forgive me. I'm doing the best I can. I just made this to try to help people because this game is not well explained. And to be honest, I don't know what I'll do with the rest of this channel. Maybe I'll do more. I could talk more about the Forever Winter. I do have more to say. There's a lot to say about this game, frankly.
I think I've proven there was a lot more to say. I'm at nearly 30 videos now, and I still have way more to go over. Sometimes I look at the game and I just think, oh god, where do I even start? There's so much to do! But thankfully I'm no longer using my phone to edit. I have Wondershare Filmora now, which I highly recommend to everyone.
But I don't have time for it right now. As is, this became more and more of a shitpost over time, so... And there's also the issue of some of the jank and glitches the game has. It's an early access game. Sometimes it kind of falls apart. Personally, I kind of find it charming, but you do you. If that's kind of a deal breaker for you, then maybe this isn't the game for you yet. Come back in a few months. Anyways, I think that pretty much sums me up for this, so... Good luck out there, and I hope I helped.
Remember, we're already dead.
And just like that, we've reached the very end of my first video, the Comprehensive New Player's Guide. With kind of quotation marks around the word comprehensive, which is why I dropped it, with no theater of war and all. And, you know, when I made this, people told me I was being ridiculous, making such a high effort and detailed guide for a game that's in early access and in development, so it's gonna change. But I think this video really proved to me that that was a great choice, because it is so much fun to go back through it and look at what is now different.
Making videos like this will allow us to trace step by step how the game evolves over time, and really take a look at how things used to be in order to compare it to how things are now, and I love that, and I'm enamored with my own work. What can I say? I'm a hubristic bastard. But just because we're at the end of the video that we were looking over doesn't mean we're at the end of this video, because I reached out to you, Scavs, via the YouTube community system, and I asked if you had any questions or statements to make, and oh boy, you did, so let's get into them. First up, we have Disco Jedi, who firstly congratulates me on 1 year. Thank you. It's all of our anniversary, but I appreciate it. And asks, what are my hopes for the future content of the game, and what do I think the end game is going to look like? Well, I certainly hope we get that hang glider / grappling hook at some point, even though we probably won't. And if you ask me what I want from the end game, I want actual bosses. I don't mean unkillables where you pull out the AT-43, I mean something multi-stage and intentional. I want the tunnels to end in a big bad. Ideally, a few of them. Something that's difficult to take down. Something that has multiple mechanics to it other than just hit points that you have to take into account. And I really, really, really hope that maybe we get that someday. Divided by 1024 stopped in to say, party hardy, rock and roll, drink a beer, smoke some Nucky Golds. Hell fucking yeah! Everything else is tertiary. Thank you for the congratulations. I appreciate it. Hazzy8121 had a statement for us. Sneed, Speed, and Seed. Formerly Chucks. Project 4061 has 2 questions, the first one being, if I could get any reference to myself in the Forever Winter, what would I want it to be? As I have said in the past, a green dot, just the dot, not the ring, hollow sun, and call it like the H-Sun Rose, and I would love that and feel very, very touched, because I run a green dot hollow sun on my actual rifle in the real world. Failing that, I'm willing to be a radio DJ, fun dog. I'll play that game, which feeds into question number 2. If there is a radio broadcast too, there will be, though I'll probably only do like 1 a year. Can I play something like Invincible from Skillet? I most certainly can, but will I? That remains to be seen. Jake Norvitz, 9938, stopped by to say that he loves the game and he loves my optimism and the fact that I abide by the rule of cool. I try, and thank you for the compliment. Also, yes, I agree that Lordos is a really well done enemy-to-friend style character. I think they handled him pretty excellently. Zachary Papore, 7700, asked, what is my favorite or fastest way to make money in the game? And, well, favorite versus fastest might be different. Fastest probably is just doing rapid water retrievals with quests that give 5 water, doing something like Water Wars plus a couple of other Frozen Swamp quests, particularly ones that you can do in the Water Thief encampment, like Against One's Camp or things like that, are an amazing way to generate a lot of money quickly if you have a maxed out water tank in character. Otherwise, it's just going to be selling major loot items like the advanced medical tools or the Oculumide surgeons, things like that. Because ultimately, my favorite way to make money is just playing the game and selling whatever you find, man. Just Enter a Name says they would like me to do community plays and just hop in with you guys and maybe record it. I do play in public matches. I play quite a lot. And I've run into a number of you subscribers out there, and it's been a lot of fun. But I don't record those sessions for a variety of reasons. Multiplayer can be kind of messy, but also, you know, my recording setup will either allow me to record game audio and TeamSpeak voice, or my voice, and I don't want to try to link up all that audio recording both separately. That'll just be a nightmare. So I probably won't be making any videos like that. But every now and again, I'll hop into randoms, or I will post up on the YouTube community feature that I'm online, and that my squad is open. Caden299 says that my early game walkthrough helped them immensely. I hope this video helped even more, covering all the changes that have been made. And they ask, which SMG do I like the most? And okay, so that'll be one of either 2. The PM9, just because it's actually quite handy to stun lock things like cyborgs if you're doing a lighter run. But realistically, it's the Spectre M4. It's the best submachine gun in the game. It one-shots infantry on a headshot. It can take optics, it can take suppressors. It has a 50-round magazine as standard. It's the best one. Argapa asked if I have any kind of line of communication with Fundog, or if they take any feedback that I give. Absolutely not. I'm actually pretty sure that nobody at Fundog has even seen my videos. And if they have, they've never acknowledged them in the slightest. Even back when they did their, like, YouTube creator call out and they gave thanks to the community, they didn't mention me at all. But the long and short of it is, no, I'm just a player like everyone else, and I have no further connections or sway on absolutely anything. Becca Dixon, 1943, asks, where do I think the future will take us, Scavs? And I have no idea! Man, the one prediction I've ever had for this game was like kind of the transmission tower, and that's really tenuous, because I was just riffing off the idea of scrambled signals in the radio broadcast.
But I think the future looks bright. I think the game's in a good place and it's getting better. And Real Carleto 5911 has 2 questions. First, would I like an underground map, kind of like Underground Cemetery, but larger and more open with things like mushroom fields? And, yeah, I would, but I don't know if I'd want it actually added in as a new map. I think something like that would be better integrated into the tunnels themselves. And then secondly, would I appreciate different environmental effects in things like night shifts, like artillery barrages, and, yesn't? I think, like I mentioned earlier, I want something like a big boss fight, and as a mechanic within that could be cool. Something to like force you to time your way around a boss arena could be neat, but just add it into the regular maps, I think that would be kind of ass. It's a little too close to the actual infantry experience where you're just hanging out, minding your own business in the rear lines, feeling safe, feeling good, gonna go on leave, and then a 155mm shell just smacks you right in the face and blows your nuts off, which I don't think would be that fun to play and would definitely upset the community. Zin Stonehead says congratulations, and also Scav Girl is for losers, play old man like a man. And my response to that is I'll take your old man and raise you one Scav Girl. Decapitation! There is no comparison. Scav Girl is best girl. Then we have MD44 who says they have no questions, they're just happy to be alive and safe in the innards and enjoying life, and then immediately asks the question, how do I spawn the Rat King? The Rat King spawns randomly. There are certain maps that seem far more likely, and there's a rumor, although I cannot personally confirm this, that having the quest King of Kings active will make the spawn more likely. But as things stand, you just kinda have to get lucky. Sorry, buddy. Then we have Liquid Ant 42069, who wonders how to, finish the That Guy quest because they're having a bit of trouble spawning the HKs. Which is a good problem to have, as I think most other new scavs will agree, but I understand that it's frustrating you because of the quest. Right now, HKs primarily trigger based off of a couple of factors. Damage dealt, so that's just killing enemies overall. Damaging critical enemies, so if you shoot the mass at a mech or something, that'll instantly spawn HKs. Looting certain items like codexes, and potentially on triggering the radar towers. So doing any combination of the above should spawn the HKs in. You have to cause some chaos these days. A lot of times they show up after 30 to 40 kills in my experience. Then we have Turgeon Jimmy, who stopped by to say that he loves the videos and he's happy I'm covering the Forever Winter. Well, thank you, buddy, and thank you for watching. I plan to stick with the Forever Winter. I'm gonna keep covering it. At the very least, I'm gonna cover it all the way up to 1.0, but I have been considering branching out a little bit into other games just because, Forever Winter isn't the only game that I play. I've mentioned before that I've considered doing Dwarf Fortress content. I'm not going to put that on the main channel, at least what I've done so far, but I am going to put that up for free on Patreon if anyone is interested in the near future. Next up is CreezerHack577, who says they really like how the lore's being introduced to the game via the NPCs and the quest lines, well, the hidden quest lines mostly, in the bar and the Cognition Cradle. But they're a little concerned about how gameplay elements are left on the back burner, and they're wondering if I think that's a stylistic choice or what's going on there. So, full disclosure, I don't think it's a stylistic choice, I think it's just a material reality. Fundog seems to have a lot of creative personnel, particularly character artists and environment designers, then they do great work, but they don't seem to have enough coders, and I think that's the problem that we've been having. I think gameplay updates are going to come out really slowly, and there's going to be a bit of jank in each update, and it's going to take a long, iterative process to get us to a point where all of that's kind of figured out. Oh, and here's my extremely hot take. I don't think the dialogue's particularly well written in the Forever Winter. There's a lot of issues that I could nitpick, and a lot of things that, frankly, I could make vicious fun of. I can't tell you how hard I fucking laughed when Octogirl just said, "Hi, I'm Octogirl." And then she talks to us like we've already been having further conversations than we have, and the dialogue's weird and has, holes in it. So I don't know if I fully agree, but I do really like the item descriptions, even if you don't care about them. And overall, I like what they've done with the Madonna. Astora, solar-powered knight, has some questions about jolly cooperation, or rather, the lack of it in their case, asking how I would improve solo play, and there's really one answer to that. I would make the railgun soloable again, because currently the AT-43 mass just forces players who play solo to play the heavy characters, and that kind of sucks. But genuinely, I feel like the solo player experience is actually really solid in the Forever Winter. I do 99% of my playtime solo, and I don't regret that at all. I have a great time. Multiplayer can be a lot of fun. We have a great community, so if you do decide you want to hop in with some randoms, you'll probably meet some cool people, but you're not ultimately missing out on all that much outside of, light characters being able to kill the unkillables. Then, the channel's top commenter, Arturo64, asks, what do I think will be next on Fundog's update list, and what would I like to see added to the game, other than better iron sights, which is a given with me? Mang, I have no fucking clue what's up next. Hopefully something cool. I want more bigger enemies, just because I've gotten used to killing all the ones we currently have, though the Sand Divers have been a fun addition. Currently, my favorite enemies in the game, though, are the Brawler Twins. I love them. I want more of that. I love them so much. As to what I'd like to see added to the game, let's see, besides boss fights, grappling hooks / hang gliders, the main thing I would like to see is more events and like lore stuff added to the tunnels. Like rather than just the random loot rooms having just a squad of enemies, what if you could find a group of scavs that you could either trade water with and get access to loot containers, or you could fight them all off, and things of that nature. I think that bit of interactivity in the tunnels would be a really cool addition that would add a lot to the game. Then we have Sergeant Gummy, who wants to know what I think the game will look like once it reaches the end of development, which I can't honestly say, but I can say my opinion. Touching on the things that you mentioned, a more open map would be cool, but I think the tunnels have really fixed that problem, and we don't need an open world overall, and I think adding that would add more problems than solutions, and probably make the game feel extremely bloated in a really nasty way. The mid-game, I think, is actually really quite solid. It's more like the mid-late in that weird period where you're trying to get the cognition cradle and like get all your codexes and everything, where you're really railroaded into one path. I think we need more options in that tier, which I guess just qualifies as late game for right now. And then for the love of God, I hope we don't get mech suits. That would entirely ruin the vibe. I have no interest in piloting a medium mech around. If I wanted to do that, I would just go play Armored Core. Or Mech Warrior. Mech Warrior is still great. But I just hope that we get to a point where we have much greater stability. If they released the game basically as is, but with all of the bugs fixed and an AI update, I think we'd be in a really good spot, and we'd be solid. But maybe I'm in the minority there. Archaico5401 comes to us from the future and congratulates me on 2 years, which, wow, I'm glad I made it that far. Then asks, do I think that Mother Courage will be able to join the Scavs as a faction and become the Rat Queen? I don't think she'll get the Rat Queen title. She hasn't earned that and doesn't deserve it. But that does seem to be where Fundog is directing us rebuilding the Mother Courage in the Cognition Cradle right now. I do think we are going to get a allied Mother Courage unit. Flavab2212 congratulates me on the milestone. Thank you, and assumes, correctly, that the grimdark atmosphere is one of the things that attracts me to the game, and asks if I have any interest in things like 40k and Trench Crusade. Yes, I could go on about 40k for fucking hours and hours and hours and hours. My favorite faction is the Mechanicus. My second favorite faction is the Orcs, because green is bestest. I'm the kind of person who once saw someone with a bumper sticker that said WOG and screamed, WOG! While driving and scaring the shit out of all of my passengers. And I'm also into things like Bionicle, which have very similar vibes in my opinion. Though I'm not all that into Trench Crusade. It reminds me a little too much of the kind of LARPers I was with back during my missionary days, and I'm not into that. Then we have an Oz2, who asks what keeps me going and keeps me invested in the Foreverwinter, as they're a veteran who plays and then leaves for every couple months and comes back. So for me, it's kind of like picking a sore tooth. I love finding all the weird little quirks about the game. One of my favorite parts about the Foreverwinter is that it's in development. I like making videos about something that's changing and dynamic, and that's like the opposite of what people tell you to do with YouTube. They're like, oh no, that's not evergreen content, and it will limit your channel's growth, which is fine. I don't care. What I like seeing is how things are evolving over time and creating this kind of bizarre outside perspective record of what Fundog's doing. I just have way too much fun making videos on the Foreverwinter, and also I just enjoy the core gameplay loop. And of course, the vibe. Then, finally, long-term subscriber, I'm So Salty, asks what my opinion is on the development of the game, how things are going, how Fundog's doing now compared to at the beginning, how well they followed the original pitched vision, and what kind of big changes that I could possibly see to change the course of the game going forward. So this may be a controversial opinion based off some of the things I've seen online, but I think Fundog's doing amazing, and I think they've always been doing pretty damn well. The problem is people have a kind of skewed expectation of what the Foreverwinter is and where it's at, and that's been a consistent problem. I think a big issue with that is just how visually polished the game is. Makes people look at the graphics and be like, hey, it's ready, let's go, when it's not. But they're a really solid team, and I love what they've done with the game. Fundog's like one of my favorite developers out there. Like, they're no Bay 12, they're not Tarn. Nobody else is Tarn, but they take the silver medal. As to how well the game has followed the original vision, well, that depends on whether or not you really fully believe in the cult of, you are not that guy. I don't, but that's because I'm playing a video game, and no matter what's going on in the game, I'm going to beat it. I've played too many Rage games, all the way through to completion, to be beaten by an extraction shooter. And that's always how I went into the game, that was my mentality, and it's worked out fine for me. I've been very happy the entire time. And I'm looking forward to more challenges being added in, and I'm not upset that the game is more combat-focused than stealth-focused, like a lot of people were expecting. And as to what kind of course corrections or alterations I would like to see Fundog make, Well, so true, open, and honest answer, I wouldn't want to. I don't want to have any creative influence over the Forever Winter because that would kind of rob me of the joy of experiencing it fresh and raw. I create enough of my own things myself that I also just appreciate experiencing other people's art, and that's one of the things I love most about the game. But if we're talking about additions, I've already mentioned several boss fights, like proper big multi-stage and like mechanic-focused boss fights, more mobility items like a hang glider, which I think would be so fucking cool, and then just more interactivity in the maps and especially in the tunnels that relate back to the lore and the questing and all of that. I just think those would be cool, but the game does live just fine without them. And with that, at long last, we've reached the true end of the video, and it's appropriate for I'm So Salty to be the last commenter in the Q&A, because they are also one of my patrons. If you like my videos, the patrons are the only source of funding this channel has. No monetization, no sponsorships. We're doing it all community-focused here. As mentioned, I will be uploading some videos to Patreon very soon, within the next couple of days, hopefully, but they will be free for any scav who wants to hop over and watch them. I don't like the idea of paywalling content, so say thank you to all the scavs appearing before you right now, since they're the ones who keep this channel going. And with that, have a good night, rats. I hope things are treating you well, and let's have another great year. Bye-bye.